This is Henry Clay standing boldly and strong. He wrote the Missouri Compromise, which made Missouri a slave state. He is the biggest, which makes him look overpowerful. He's wearing a suit that shows he is powerful and in charge. Will things ever change for Missouri? This is a letter. It tells about Henry Clay's life and how good he was. It is very big and beautiful in 3D. The letter talks about Henry Clay.
Here you will see a big equal sign with cotton balls. It teaches that America at that time had to have an equal slave and free states. Missouri was entered as a slave state. The crops represent crops in Missouri. This moves you to slavery enters Missouri.
Over Maine, I see open shackles, which represent no slaves on Maine or a free state, and closed shackles above Missouri, which represent slavery in Missouri. This represents that Missouri entered as a slave state and that Maine didn't. This means that Mo has entered slavery and Maine hasn't. Maine is gold, red. Maine is bright colors, most revolving around gold, because it is a free state. The clamped shackles above Missouri represent that the Missouri Compromise being pulled by slavery.
This is Missouri. It has crops, plants, and cotton. Also, this is slavery land, rich land. Whites did not work on farms. Blacks did. How the cotton went from bad to good. Black had the hard jobs and white did not.
Maine entered as a free state. This happened in the Missouri Compromise. Missouri entered as a slave state, and Maine entered as a free state. This ended the time for new slave states.
These are slave chains. Chains were used to tie slaves to a pole and give them a beat on their back. White owners thought of them as property. Slavery was an awful thing.
This is a picture of a slave ship. A slave ship is a ship that carries slaves, and they are usually in bad conditions. After the trip, the slaves were sold and separated from other family members. Slaves were treated like property, not humans.
These are slaves getting whipped. People treated slaves really badly. People made them work all day in the hot sun and often treated them cruelly. Treating slaves this way is evil.
There is a guy with a rake cutting plants. This shows them working in the fields and getting ready for harvesting. Black people worked in the fields as slavers.
The plow plows through the fields. It shows that slaves were forced to work hard. Slaves were a pile of junk to some people. Slaves had to survive in the hot sun. Slavery was cruel.
Rufus King and another guy are fighting and want to hurt each other. This shows that they were not good leaders. One is black and one is white. Rufus King's fighting got in the way of progress. This shows that blacks and whites need to learn to get along.
This is a church with Elijah Lovejoy in front. I did that because Elijah Lovejoy was a preacher and a speaker on anti-slavery. Two composition features that it has are Elijah Lovejoy in front of the church and stained glass windows. If Elijah Lovejoy was here today, he'd be happy to see a slavery-free country.
Abraham Lincoln gave speeches about slavery. Blacks are free today. Abraham Lincoln is the biggest thing in the picture. He stands out against everything else in the picture. Abraham Lincoln is one of the many people who stopped slavery. Because of him, blacks are free. This is a picture of a fort under siege. John Brown and abolitionists are attacking the fort. This represents the work to end slavery. It starts the cloud of sin that shows the evil of slavery.
The smoke represents a cloud over slavery and segregation. The smoke starts in a fire in slavery and comes from a slave in segregated houses
and the bus. Slavery and segregation were bad things that ended at the Civil Rights Movement.
This is a segregated face. Blacks and whites during this time were separated. They could not go to the same school or eat at the same restaurant. Segregation was very unfair.
Do you notice this face? It shows segregation. Segregation was when blacks were treated unfairly because of their skin color. Do you see the white man is dressed in a suit and the black man is very beat up? Blacks were not treated fairly. Segregation was very wrong.
I see a half-broken and half-fixed house. This shows how black people had unequal houses. This is shown by one house split in half because the nation was divided. There are cracks and scratches on the black person's side of the house. Segregation was horrible.
This is a beat-up old house. It shows that segregated people don't have rights. The gray old house looks like a barn. It is run down. Segregated people need equality.
These are buses. One is a bus for blacks and the other drives only whites. At the time, blacks and whites were kept separate. This is shown by the buses driving away from each other. This was called segregation. Whites thought blacks were not equal to them.
This is Rosa Parks sitting in the front of the bus. Blacks were not treated fairly even during the Civil Rights Movement. Blacks shouldn't have to give up their seat in the front of the bus to a white. Blacks have to sit in the back of the bus. Things are starting to change for blacks.
This is Martin Luther King giving a speech. Black people were just as important as white. White people should not exclude. Things need to change for blacks, even though they are.
This is a black hand with a white hand. It teaches that blacks and whites were starting to come together. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Rosa Parks helped understand that blacks and whites are equal. This shows that people's attitudes were changing.
These are black people singing in front of the Capitol building. Black people should be able to do everything that white people can do. There is black people singing, and that represents all the millions of blacks. The words "we shall overcome" represent that laws need to change. Congress signs a law making segregation illegal.
Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream was to see blacks and whites together. He preached that blacks and whites are equal. Even he broke the law. He worked peacefully for equal rights. He helped change society of blacks being separated.
I see people holding hands. That shows all types of races should come together. That blacks and whites holding hands. That shows that everything is coming together, that blacks should have fair rights.
Michael Jordan, a basketball hero. White and black people are equal in sports. Everyone is a fan of him, black and white. He's jumping up. Everyone is trusting him. On the sports field, skin color doesn't seem to matter.
Barack Obama is talking to a crowd. Black people are accepted as leaders in our country today. Obama speaks to black and white people. He was brave and confident to be the first black president. Blacks and whites are considered equals.
This is Michelle Obama. The message she tells is that blacks and women have equal rights as everyone else. She is big because it shows that she is black and that she is a woman. Michelle Obama is a picture of equal rights.
We all work together as a nation. We work together every day because no matter what color we work together. Schools have all colors together. This image even means that Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream came true. There used to be separate colors and blacks were treated unfairly. And now the world has changed. Amen.